Welcome to The Social Between podcast hosted by the social creative, Pat King. He's been successfully growing large companies for 20 years, has been an entrepreneur for 25, and recently started his second digital marketing and media company after much success in the first. Pat has spent the last 12 years highly focused on digital marketing and social media, working with small businesses in the trenches. Today, his sole passion is helping small business owners, entrepreneurs and non-profits not only survive in this fast-paced digital world, but to thrive. I give you the Pat King.
Yay! Hello everybody, welcome to episode 3 of The Social Between. I appreciate you tuning in. I'm super grateful. And today we are going to be talking to a college student, Yamil. He is from Mexico and he is an engineering student currently. And he's got some questions about B2B, which is business to business, versus B2C, business to customer, in relations to marketing. We're going to go over some Instagram stuff, talking about the value of Instagram, the benefits and expectations for businesses with marketing. And we're also going to be talking about branding versus marketing and how branding plays into marketing. And finally, we're going to be talking about automation. It is a touchy subject for me. Is it taking the human element out of social media? Are we becoming too automated? And at what point does it take the social element out of social media? So I will be back at the end to wrap up the podcast with some additional thoughts and feedback. Until then, I hope you enjoy the show and our conversation, and we'll talk soon. What's going on, everybody? It's me again, and you are not listening to the conversation and interview that I had with the student that I just talked about. So I'm actually jumping in here and doing this live real quick. I want to throw this in just because things are changing rapidly and we're changing quickly, and I will get to the conversation. But first, I'm going to take a little bit of your time and talk about a couple extremely important things and actually very exciting. So if it hasn't changed already, if you don't see it on the podcast, we are changing the name of the podcast already. I know it's episode 3 and we're already switching things up, but that's how we do it. And that's what you got to do in marketing sometimes too, is you got to adapt quickly and rapidly. I have like 4 other episodes recorded for The Social Between, which I will use and will share with everybody. But we are changing direction effective immediately after today's podcast, and we are going to be more of a small business marketing focused in general instead of just social media marketing. So what I've found, and based on a lot of feedback from listeners and a lot of people smarter than me, is that I feel like I've been handcuffed to social media with this podcast, and quite frankly, I don't like it. I love social media, but honestly, I just have way more to give, and I have had much more success in business in general speaking, with marketing and operations and running businesses and business developing. And if I had to compare the two, someone a lot smarter than me made me sit down and do this. So if I had to compare the two, I'd say 80% of my knowledge is small business development driven. My knowledge is 80% business overall at a higher site and involving more things. And if I had to give social media a percentage of my total brain and my business knowledge, it would only be 20%. So if that limits me on sharing what I can share and talking about what I want to talk about or what I think will be helpful to you, then obviously it's going to limit you on what you can learn from me, and it's going to limit the 25 years of experience and knowledge that I've gained, that I'm able to share with you. It's going to limit things like, if you don't know already, I spent 20 years in the health and fitness industry, building successful health clubs, businesses, personal training companies, all sorts of different things in that industry, with a lot of success. So those are things that could be helpful to my audience, to you guys, and or to anybody that comes along at a future date. So I don't want to be handcuffed to social media and the direction social media is going with business. I've also found it hard to get a lot of commitment on to get guests on the show because it's social media driven, and people just, I want to bring on people that are powerful, people that are super successful, speakers, motivational people that have had a lot of success in business in general. And just a small fraction of that, most of them just look at social media as just like a little tiny piece of that, even though it is a big thing and it has a big impact to them. It's just a piece of it, because social media is a piece in the puzzle, absolutely, with business, but it's not nowhere near like it's something you shouldn't be 100% focused on, or just driven by social media and the social media culture. So, and which I agree with. So, however, with the social between, the name of the podcast, the social between is a real thing that I don't know if anyone else made this up or not, but I kind of created that little thing, the social between, and what that means and the definition of that. We will still be covering the social between, and we will still be talking about it because it is a very important part of growing a small business or, entrepreneurship or anything like that. So it's very real, and it is a part of that. So what the podcast moving forward is going to be focused on is going to be small business marketing, developing tips and tricks and, things that have been successful for people. I'm talking about like tools that work, apps that work, things that make your life and your job and your or running your business a lot easier. I'm talking about the fuel that's going to drive you guys. So I'm working with a name, and if it's not done already, probably not, because I plan on launching this podcast today. So throwing this out there, maybe it's going to be the small business rocket fuel. It sounds kind of corny, maybe, and I'll probably have like some sort of corny, like, cartoon picture of a rocket ship too, just to throw that out there, just because it's serious, yes, but I like that fun, and it just sounds kind of funny, and I'm going to play off of it. A couple people told me it was corny, but I should go with it, so I'm going to go with it. I think it's a little corny, but I love it, and what's better than a little cartoon rocket, and definitely want to have fun with it. So I just want to throw one thing out there as I talk about. There's a lot of tools and tips and apps and things like that I've been wanting to share that have just not been related to social media, so I've held back. So I have a lot to share, but I just want you to know up front, I don't advertise and I don't get any kickbacks, and I don't have any affiliation with anything that I'm sharing. I get paid nothing, and I will accept nothing, and I will not advertise. I'm only sharing tools and apps and things like that work from experience, things that will be helpful for you if you are in the trenches managing your own business, you're a startup, an entrepreneur, you're just getting online, you're late getting online, late getting to social media, whatever it is. The goal is to 100% give you the fuel to help you drive your small business, and really be helpful in all areas, and not just banter about social media. So that's my deal. And some of the things we're going to talk about, there's things I want to share with you guys. A couple of things I'll run down real quick, and we'll talk about in future episodes coming up. Things like smart speakers and flash briefings. Smart speakers are Amazon Echoes, the Google Homes, the smart speakers in your car, the flash briefings, the things that you hear on those, how those are going to be something you can utilize and leverage We've actually already created flash briefings and we know the process. And so I got some really cool stuff to share with you guys, and hopefully that'll be helpful to you, something to look forward to, something to put in the back of your mind, in your think tank, put it on your, think board, if you have one, and just something to look forward to. And as you hear more about audio and voice, keep in mind, there's a reason. Just remember this. There's a reason that I started this podcast in the first place. A podcast is audio. Audio is going to be big. And if you think about it, things with like flash briefings and Google Home, all Google searches, over 25% of all Google searches are already voice searches. So, and we're just scratching the surface. So I think that possibly apps are going to go away. Everything is going to be voice on demand based on a voice, and it may work through an app if you ask for your computer or your phone to do something or look for something, but actually physical clicking on apps and stuff, I think at some point it's going to go away. So just something to keep in the back of your minds. I'm going to cover a lot more about that in the next couple episodes coming up, which is super exciting. And, some other things, just like, Instagram's got a video platform coming up that it's going to provide, you can put up to 1 hour videos on. So I think they're trying to compete maybe a little bit with YouTube. And, Facebook, they don't compete with, Facebook owns them, but just things like that. So there's lots of cool stuff out there, lots of helpful apps. One thing I want to share with you real quick that I just discovered today is an app called Adobe. Let me find it real quick. I'm on the fly here and live, so sorry about that. It's called Adobe Capture. So it's very cool. It's a free app. You can download it. If you do any of your own designing and developing, or creating pictures, images, graphics, anything like that, or you just want ideas, whether it's for work or home, if you see anything, you can actually use this app. You can take a picture of something and it will give you all the colors, outlines, shapes, types, sizes, materials, and give you all the color schemes, breakdowns, and you can actually download all the information. It's so cool. You can download it into another platform that you use to create, like if you use Photoshop to make graphics, you can actually download the data right into your Photoshop or other software that you use, and you can actually, use, like if you see a cool color scheme somewhere, like on a building or a layout of something anywhere, you can take pictures on your computer screen. If you see something cool on your computer, you can take a picture of that, and it'll give you full color schemes, layouts, shapes, and sizes. It's pretty amazing. So hard to explain in detail, but download it, check it out, play with it. It's really cool. So if you're doing any of your own design work, you'll appreciate it. So, but that's all I got. That's what I'm sharing today. Sorry for interrupting, and I'm going to go ahead and play the interview and discussion that I had with Yamil, who is a college student. He's I believe, an engineering student. He had some B2B questions regarding social media, and I actually had some additional feedback after that as well. So if you want to stick around for that, got a lot of cool other stuff coming up, and look forward to talking to you guys soon. Thank you so much for tuning in, and if you like this, please don't forget to leave us a review on any platform that you're on. All right, take care. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Hey, can somebody tell that crazy Irish guy at the beginning that we changed the name?
Hi, my name is Yamil. I'm from Mexico. I'm actually a student right now, and I'm actually going back home after a long day of school and work.
School and work.
Yeah.
Burn the candle both ends. That's what you got to do when you're young, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do have some questions of related with social media and small businesses. I actually, even though I'm an engineer, so I'm not deep into the business side of things.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really interested into it. And for example, what is the role of social media in marketing when it comes, for example, in my field in engineering, when you are not necessarily selling to a individual customer,
Mm-hmm.
you're selling to other businesses. How does that work? Like selling something to another business, not necessarily like a person.
Sure, sure. So more of a B2B, like not B2C.
Yeah, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so that's a great question because a lot of people don't really um, they don't really think about it. Sometimes they just go with what they know, um, and there are some big differences, and there's a lot of similarities too. So, like the number one thing you have to remember when marketing from business to business, which almost everybody people that I've coached over the years, like business owners and people like with startups, the
Yeah.
first thing that they do is they lose touch and forget the fact that they are still humans running those businesses.
Yeah.
So they tend to go towards like just strictly business, content or strictly business ads, and there's no, yeah, you're still dealing with humans and they still have emotions. So you still got to try to, when it comes to marketing, you try to like hit emotional buttons and, get people engaged and things like that. And it's no different with a business. But so that's the biggest similarity that you wouldn't want to change. And the biggest mistake that I see people make a lot.
But in the end, like the distribution means that you use, like, for example, I don't see a business. For example, me, if I start my own business, an engineering business, doing, I don't know, car chassis, for example,
Mhm.
I'm not gonna make Instagram ads about it, or well,
Right.
at least I don't think that's an effective strategy. So what's kind of the focus you have to take when you're making your marketing strategy in these cases?
You're 100% right. And when it comes to something like engineering, you know, I mean, actually, you're right in most cases with most businesses. Believe it or not, one of the first things I tell people when they come to me for advice, if they just want some coaching or if they want a full on, plan of attack, a strategy, is
Mm-hmm.
that look right from the start. Don't expect to get any new customers from Instagram.
Yeah.
Don't
Okay.
just don't expect it. And if you do someday, long down the road, then great, that's a bonus. But don't go into it having expectations because Instagram specifically is more about brand building and brand awareness, and getting your brand out there, getting it recognized, and having it in front of people.
Yeah.
You're not gonna make a lot of money off of Instagram, if any, in my
Okay. Yeah.
opinion. In
Because
my opinion.
that's another thing that might get really confusing when talking B2B, is that marketing doesn't have the same function as brand building, right?
Correct. Brand building is a separate, completely separate. Actually, when I take somebody through, before I put them into a marketing strategy session, I spend quite a bit amount of time with them just on branding.
Okay.
Because most people don't understand what branding is. They think of branding as logos and colors, and they think of big brands they can think of like Coca-Cola, but they don't. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
getting
yeah,
at?
yeah, yeah. I have
What
seen,
is branding? What does it mean to you? Like if I ask you what branding meant to you.
so the kind of the perception I'm getting here is like branding is what people think about you, how your audience and your customers look at your company, and marketing is the actual, like, the task of promoting your product.
Hmm.
And I think like that's I feel like that's the main difference. But then again, it's like it tends to be an obstacle when you try to bring these ideas and bring them to life.
Hmm.
It Well, it's not that simple as, well, it's,
No, it's
yeah.
definitely none of it's as simple as a lot of people like to make it sound. But you hit the nail on the head there with that. That's exactly right. And branding comes first, and branding is branding is you. You are your business. Like, how are you viewed? At the end of the day, every great business had an amazing person behind them who had an amazing story and personal brand that took them there, you know, whether people necessarily knew about it or not, but it started, that person's brand started a movement with a certain amount of people. And, you know, that's what branding is. It's exactly what you said. It's how people see you, what they perceive you as, like how you do business. You know, it's funny because I wrote an article not too long ago for LinkedIn, and I like kind of was joking around in the story to say, you know, hey, think about it like this, you know, and I used a weird example, a deodorant store. Never heard of a deodorant store before, but it was the first thing that came to my mind. I don't know why when I was writing, and I just kept going, so I left it in there. But so I said, so if you go into a deodorant store, you know, and they have the same deodorant as the deodorant store down the street, but this particular Susie Q's deodorant store that you go into, you know, they have amazing service. They welcome you when you come in. They know you by name. They you know, they talk about how cute your baby is, your dog, and like, I mean, they ask you about your life, and you know, everything from the time that person walks in the door to the time they leave is completely different, and they're going to pay, you know, up to 30 to 40% more sometimes for a product just because they like the experience when they go in there. You know, and Nordstrom's is a perfect example of that. You know, I mean, you can buy the same clothes that Nordstrom's carry at other places for about 20, 30% less any day. But Nordstrom's just infamous and really good at, you know, the customer experience, you know, and that's what their brand is. They're known for delivering an amazing customer experience and doing anything that they can to make it last, not just the sale, but make it last. And, you know, even if they bring the product back, no matter what's wrong with it, they give your money back, you know? So yeah, you're exactly right. So it is difficult. So as far as social media goes, I think to back up, like, to your question specifically, you know, people in every industry are on social media. So my first response would be, don't ever give up on Facebook. You know, most of the population of the world is on Facebook. You know, you know, everyone in every industry is on there, whether they see you when they're working, or whether they see you when they're not working, or if you're using targeted Facebook ads. You know, that's a great option. They're really cheap and highly effective. You know, and then my next thing would be LinkedIn. I wouldn't waste a lot of time in an industry like yours on Instagram. I mean, I guess you could.
Yeah,
you know, I mean.
Yeah, no, it was just an example because on LinkedIn, for example, it's a business social network in the end. So it makes sense promoting these kinds of things in there. But Instagram, it's completely another place.
Yeah.
But for example, like, there are other things that you can do, and one thing I at least I personally find interesting is when you're talking about a small business, it feels much more human than a corporation, big corporation, P&G and things like that. And then I see what this corporation's strategy is, and they try to do exactly that. They try to show their human side as an appeal. But then, like, so this is a huge advantage that small business have, as far as I see. And like, do you think that would be an effective strategy when you're doing B2B?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, depending on what kind of business you're talking to. I mean, I do currently right now. I run. I manage Google AdWords for a huge software company. Does barcode scanner rentals for inventory for grocery stores. The biggest one in the country. So like I manage their account for them. through my company, and there's a contract. But I met the guy at the golf course. I didn't even know who he was. Like, I didn't know what he did. He was golfing with one of my friends. He met us there, and we were chit chatting. Asked me what I did. I told him. We had a great day chit chatting about golf and business. He knows a lot about marketing and AdWords and stuff. He just doesn't have time to do it himself. But I built an amazing relationship with a guy in 9 holes of golf. And, a week later, he's calling me, wanting me to take over his marketing program, do all his online ads, build his, landing pages, everything. So, it was just because I built that relationship with him. I had no idea. I had no idea that was going to happen.
Yeah. I think you're right. Yeah, the human factor is still in there, and that's something like in the end you are dealing with.
Yeah,
so
every day.
Yeah.
It's sad though. Like what you mentioned is kind of sad because businesses spend so much money just trying to be human, but at the same time, the way the digital marketing is gone, everything is becoming so automated. We're losing the human connection already.
Yeah, they want to be human without human interaction.
Now there's bots responding to people, and like that's always been my thing.
Yeah.
Engagement. Somebody sends a message or they comment or they like, you got to respond right away. Like, and now there's bots. They don't have to do it. It's just like you just took social out of social media. You just took the engagement. Yeah. Engagement has always been the biggest topic on how to build and grow your social media. Engagement, right? I mean, they just took that away. And what are other people going to feel? What are the consumers going to feel like when they find out that they've been basically, being talked to by bots? And I'd feel like insignificant. Like, I'm not that important to you. You just let a bot respond to me.
Yeah, it is insulting in a way.
I refuse to use them on my sites. I don't care. I'll spend an extra 10 hours responding manually. I don't care.
Yeah.
I mean, I can see like an autoresponder, like, hey, we're really busy. Somebody will get back to you within 12 hours or 4 hours or whatever, just like an initial response. But the bots that they're using nowadays are doing like everything. So it's like, I mean, it takes the whole social media experience away.
Yeah, you're definitely right. But yeah, I really think it's a really interesting approach you can take when doing B2B, because B2C I think makes more sense. It's a lot more obvious, but B2B, like, it takes the social and complicates.
Yep, it does. People instantly, they just start overthinking it. That's all. Hey everyone, welcome back. Thank you for tuning in and listening. I hope you got a little bit out of that conversation. I do want to correct myself at the beginning when he was talking about Instagram. He did say Instagram ads. I was mostly referencing Instagram in general for branding purposes. However, if you're placing Instagram ads, that would be different. I apologize for the background noise, but I am using one of the awesome tools that I do use to record this podcast. It's Anchor, and so I'm committed to publishing this podcast today with all the changes. And so I'm walking right now, and hopefully I don't get hit by a car, and recording at the same time. So if you didn't get the ebook from the last episode that I gave away, I've pre-released a 56-page social media marketing ebook, and that ebook is specifically only for podcast listeners, and it is part of a paid course that is coming up. So I have not released that yet. If you didn't get a copy, you can get that along with my top 10 resource guide for social media marketing tools. 10 amazing tools that can help you with your social media marketing efforts. You can download that at thesocial27.info. thesocial27.info. You can download the resource guide and then just request the ebook and mention the podcast, and I'll ship that ebook over to you. And that's about it. So I want to thank you all very much for tuning in. I'm excited about the new changes and new and more helpful information, everything that I can provide for you guys and share with you. I got so much stuff, you have no idea. I'm super excited. And I look forward to talking to you guys soon. I want to give a shout out to Anchor for this amazing platform and all those who support me. Amazing. Thank you. And if you like this podcast, you can leave me a review if you'd like it on whatever platform you're on. I very much appreciate it. And I hope you tune in next time. Thank you. Talk to you soon. Take care.
Oh, thank you.